Those of you with 14 and newer Dodge Ram 2500, 3500s are very familiar with the dealer's solution to weld your jam nuts to the adjuster sleeve so that it doesn't loosen up, which then means that your steering wheel cannot be easily adjusted to center it. Well, we have a solution in the form of an adjuster sleeve, which is right here. And I'm going to go ahead and show you how to remove the tack welds that are on the current adjuster sleeve so that you can reuse the ends that you have, and then insert our adjuster sleeve and then get your steering wheel nice and centered so that you don't have to just deal with the fact that it's off center all the time. So we're going to go ahead and get started on that and show you how to do it. Starting with the 21 millimeter socket to remove both the pitman side arm and the passenger side end. Now to get this end out, you're likely going to use a pickle fork. You can use a hammer, a good sized hammer, and go ahead and smash on the pitman arm side to try and create a shock to loosen the taper lock that's on this, but it's going to be way easier to use a pickle fork. I've gone ahead and put the nut back on the top just a little bit, so that way when it does come out, it doesn't just fall down. Pickle fork. With that out, this should pop down. Once we remove here, we will have this thing out and ready to go, and then we can take it over to the bench and grind off these welds, and we'll go from there. So we've got our grinder with wheel, and essentially you just need to take and break the weld between the tube and the nut. So I'm gonna, on this, kind of take it from the surface area here over to the nut, and because the nut sits proud of the adjuster portion. So we'll go ahead and get started. So if you look close, you probably see that this there's actually a visible crack now between these, and it appears to be on both sides. So with that being the case, I should be able to get one loose enough, and then when I spin the adjuster, the other side should break free too. So we'll go ahead and see about making that happen. Loosen this up now. There's one loose. So this one's going to be righty-loosey instead of tighty. And there you go. So now this is free on both sides. You can now take each end out, and then you'll be ready to assemble with our sleeve instead, which we'll do next. Now, before disassembly, you'll want to go ahead and get a rough measurement. It's okay if it moved a little bit because it was probably off anyway, and you're going to have to adjust it later. But you'll want to go from the center of the drag link on one end to the center of the stud on the other end. And I'm right at 40 inches. So roughly, I know that when I reassemble, I want everything to be about 40 inches, and know that you're also going to have to adjust the drag link a little bit anyway. So we are now ready to go ahead and start assembling our drag link. Again, so you guys know why it's so clean and nice now, I went ahead and I'm replacing both ends of my drag link due to the fact that there's 125K or so on the truck. So you got your adjuster sleeve. Looks a lot like the adjuster sleeves that come with all of our other products. If you look on one side here, you're going to see that there's a slit. On the other side, there is no slit on the bevel on the outside. The slit is going to indicate your left-hand thread. The non-slit side is going to be your right-hand thread. As is common with all of our products, we recommend some anti-seize. A little bit goes a long way, so don't go too crazy. But you know, get the threads started at one end with anti-seize, and this is going to make it so that adjustment is nice and easy 100,000 miles down the road basically. So got one end here, do the other end right now. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and thread. Pitman is going to be, pitman side is your right hand thread, so go ahead and start threading that in. You can see these tabs on the end here. What those are for is to keep each end in the proper orientation. So when you go ahead and put these in, basically that tab is going to hit this side and that side. It keeps them from wanting to rotate, so that way they're opposite how they're set up how they're supposed to be, basically. So this is going to be the left hand side, so we'll go ahead and start threading this lefty loosey, which is actually tight. Okay, so we got those started, so we're going to go ahead and continue to do that until we get the two tabs to be over top of each other, and then we'll adjust this until we get close to 40 inches, and then the next part is just to install it. Something that we also recommend doing with these is make sure that they're equally threaded per side. That way you're getting equal adjustment and engagement. So what you can go ahead and do is measure from thread to your beveled edge here on the forging, and that'll give you a pretty good idea. The other thing you could do is, if you want, you could look inside your windows here, and once you have your first threads going through that portion on each of them, you know that you're pretty much evenly installed. So just a couple of ways you can go about doing it here. All right, so now you can see that these don't move independent because those tabs have gone over each other. So now it should be a lot easier to go ahead and thread this in, since they're gonna both stay in place now. As you can see, holding one side now allows you to pull both sides in at the same time. And thread-wise, you know, it should be pretty dang close. You could also, I told you could measure or look inside, but you could actually count the number of threads showing if you wanted to do that as well. So I've got my trusty tape here. We are currently at, looks like I was pretty dang close. You wanna make sure your stud's centered, otherwise your measurement's not going to be good. Now I'm just going from the center of the middle of the back, and it would appear I'm right at 40. So this is now ready to go back into the vehicle. All right, we're going to go ahead and put the pitman arm inside in first. We'll get the nut started on that. Get that started up and in, and then we'll go ahead and torque these down. The knuckle side's a 21 still, but this is going to be larger. This side is 22 now, yeah. So the ones that I got, these precision chassis ones from O'Reilly, 22 on this side now, still 21. If you're just putting the stock ones back in, or you haven't even removed that all the way, you don't have to worry about it, but 21 is what they were originally. So yeah, we're just going to torque those down now, and once we have those torqued, the only thing left is to adjust these so that they clearance everything. And then we'll snug those up, and then we'll put it back down, and we will see where the wheel is in alignment wise, and then you'll torque these down to 45 foot-pounds, and that will conclude the installation. So it appears the torque spec for these is going to be 27 foot-pounds plus a 180 turn for the pitman arm side, and you're looking at 44 foot-pounds plus 105 degrees for the outer passenger end side that goes to the knuckle. There's 27 already, so a 180 is going to be half 360. So we'll actually do this, we'll do 90, and then we'll come back and we'll do another 90. There's 90. And there, have bad boys torqued on that side. And just so you're aware, roughly that came out to 120 foot-pounds. So we'll do 44. All right, and then we're gonna be going the opposite way towards us. So let's get to 44. There's 44 already. 105, I think it says. So we're gonna go, we're gonna basically do 2 turns here. So we'll go 1, 2, and that says about 137. All right, so to finish this up, we're gonna go ahead and adjust our adjuster sleeve to center the steering wheel. I've actually already done this, but I'll give you a quick explanation on how this works and basically what it's going to do so that you understand how to get your steering wheel centered. So you wouldn't torque these down yet, you'd leave them loose, and then you're gonna spin it either backwards towards the axle, or you're gonna spin it forward toward the front bumper. So say your center's here, and you're this way, you're gonna wanna turn it towards the front, which is gonna shorten the, so basically you're gonna wanna turn it this way, and that will shorten the track, or the drag link, which will take you from this orientation, and you'll just adjust it until you're here. And if you are in this orientation, you're gonna turn it towards the back, towards the axle, until you're nice and centered. And before you start doing any of this, you're gonna wanna get on some nice flat ground, and you're gonna want to basically back up until you get to, like in front of the area that you wanna do this, which should be flat, nice flat ground. And you're gonna wanna, regardless of the angle of the steering wheel, you want the vehicle to drive straight. So basically get it so that the steering wheel is in whatever orientation it has to be for you to drive straight, and then move forward into your position where you're gonna work on it. And then you're gonna wanna get out and you turn the vehicle off, and then you can adjust your adjuster sleeve. Once you're done with that, these are 45 foot-pounds, torque them down, mark them, and you're good to go. I would recommend taking it for a drive after you do that. Sometimes you think you got the wheel nice and centered when you pull into that position to adjust this, and you'll go for a drive and things will settle and you'll realize you're off a little bit, and then you can just repeat the process. So you'll just kind of do the same thing, back up, get it so that the vehicle's driving straight into the position where you're gonna work on it, and then you'll adjust this whatever little bit more you have to get that done. It does help to have somebody else with you in the vehicle to keep you from having to go back and forth, but it is something you can do on your own. So once you've done that and everything's torqued down, you got everything paint marked, then you're good to go.